My wife secretly installed hidden cameras to prove I was lying. I found them on day one. So I pretended I didn't. What those cameras recorded next left her with no way to explain it. The first hidden camera wasn't exactly hidden. It was tucked inside a digital alarm clock on the bookshelf in my home office. I'd only noticed it because the tiny green light reflected off my computer monitor while I was working late one night. At first, I assumed it was some new smart home gadget my wife, Amanda, had bought without telling me. She loved buying random tech. Smart plugs. Wi-Fi light bulbs. Video doorbells. If it connected to an app, she'd probably ordered it. But something about this clock felt off. When I picked it up, it was heavier than it should have been. I turned it over. Behind the battery cover was a tiny microSD card. Next to it, a camera lens no bigger than a pencil eraser. I just stared at it. Someone had been recording my office. My first thought was burglary. Maybe someone had broken in. Maybe they planned to come back. I immediately checked every door and window. Nothing was missing. Nothing looked disturbed. Then I noticed something else. The camera was plugged into an extension cord. Meaning, someone had installed it deliberately. Recently. There was only one other person with unrestricted access to my house. My wife. I didn't confront Amanda. Not yet. Instead, I searched the rest of the house. Within 30 minutes, I'd found 5 more. One hidden inside a smoke detector in the hallway. Another disguised as a phone charger in the living room. One tucked behind cookbooks in the kitchen. Another inside a decorative clock facing our back door. The last one was in our bedroom. Pointed directly at my side of the bed. That one made my stomach turn. Who installs a hidden camera in their own bedroom? I carefully wrote down where every device was. Then I placed each one exactly where I'd found it. If Amanda wanted me on camera, she was going to get exactly what she expected. The next morning, I acted completely normal. I kissed her goodbye before work. She smiled. Have a good day. You too. Nothing about her behavior seemed unusual. If anything, she looked unusually cheerful. That afternoon, I called my best friend, Chris. He owned a cybersecurity company and spent years installing commercial security systems. When he arrived that evening, I quietly showed him every camera. His expression changed immediately. These aren't cheap. How expensive? He picked up the bedroom camera. Probably around $400 each. I blinked. There are 6 of them. He nodded. Someone spent well over $2,000 spying on this house. Then he plugged one into his laptop. Within seconds, he frowned. They're connected. To what? A cloud account. Can you tell whose? He typed for another minute. Then slowly turned the screen toward me. The account name wasn't anonymous. It wasn't some security company. It wasn't a hacker. It was an email address I recognized instantly. Amanda's personal Gmail. Every camera in my house was streaming directly to my wife's phone. I felt sick. Chris looked at me. You going to ask her about it? I shook my head. Not yet. Instead, I had a better idea. I ordered identical hidden cameras online. Same brand. Same model. When they arrived 2 days later, Chris helped me swap every original camera with one that looked identical. Amanda never noticed. The original cameras were now safely locked inside my office. The replacements? They didn't stream to her phone. They streamed to mine. If she checked her app, everything looked perfectly normal. She had no idea she'd stopped watching me. And I'd started watching her. For almost 3 weeks. Nothing happened. Amanda went to work. Came home. Cooked dinner. Watched Netflix beside me. Every few days she'd casually ask questions that suddenly sounded very different. So, did anyone stop by today? No. You sure? Positive. She'd smile. Just wondering. Now I knew why she'd asked. She already knew the answer. Or at least, she thought she did. Then one Thursday afternoon, I left for work like always. Except, I didn't. I drove around the block, parked a few streets away, and watched my own house through the app connected to my replacement cameras. Exactly 22 minutes later, Amanda pulled into the driveway. She'd told me she had an all-day meeting. Instead, she walked inside carrying grocery bags. 5 minutes later, another car pulled up. A black BMW. A man stepped out. Mid-30s. Well-dressed. Confident. Amanda opened the front door before he even knocked. She smiled the second she saw him. Then kissed him. Not a quick peck. A long kiss. Like people who'd done it hundreds of times before. I felt my hands tighten around my phone. The man laughed. I can't believe he's still clueless. Amanda laughed too. He has no idea. Then she pointed toward the living room. Come on. I'll show you. She walked him directly to one of the hidden cameras. The one disguised as a phone charger. She picked it up proudly. I told you these cameras were worth every penny. He grinned. So you've been watching him? Every single day. She opened the app on her phone. My heart nearly stopped. The app was still showing live footage. Except, it wasn't live footage of me. Chris had built a simple loop from old recordings. Amanda thought she was watching me sit in my office working. In reality, I was sitting in my truck watching her. The man laughed. Poor guy. He still thinks you love him. Amanda rolled her eyes. I stopped loving him years ago. So why stay? She shrugged. The house. My name isn't on the deed yet. And if I leave too early, I get nothing. He nodded. So what's the plan? Amanda smiled. I've almost got enough. What do you mean? She walked into our office. Opened the filing cabinet. And pulled out a folder containing every financial document we owned. Investment accounts. Retirement funds. Property records. She laid them across the desk. I'm waiting until the refinance is approved. Once my name is officially on the title, we file for divorce. He'll never see it coming. The man laughed. And the cameras? Amanda smirked. They're insurance. If he ever accuses me of cheating, I'll just say he became paranoid. I've got months of footage showing he's the unstable one. I nearly dropped my phone. That wasn't why she'd installed the cameras. She wasn't trying to catch me cheating. She was building a false narrative. She wanted thousands of hours of carefully selected footage to paint me as controlling, suspicious, and irrational if the divorce ever turned ugly. She had planned every detail. Except one. She never imagined I'd find the cameras on the very first day. Or that for the past 3 weeks. The only people being secretly recorded were her and the man she thought I'd never know existed. By the time Amanda came home that evening, I'd already downloaded every recording, copied it to 3 different hard drives, emailed it to my attorney, and scheduled a meeting for the following morning. She walked through the front door smiling. How was your day? I smiled back. It was, surprisingly revealing. She laughed. I'm glad. So am I. Because for the first time since I found those cameras, I knew exactly who was really being watched. And this time, The evidence belonged to me. The next morning, my attorney watched every minute of the footage. He didn't interrupt once. When the last video ended, he leaned back in his chair. I've handled hundreds of divorces. But I've never seen someone document their own scheme this thoroughly. Amanda had done all the hard work for us. Every conversation. Every plan. Every admission. It was all recorded. Legally. Inside my own home. My lawyer immediately filed for divorce. But he also did something else. He filed an emergency motion to stop the refinance Amanda had mentioned. Within 48 hours. The bank froze the entire process. Amanda's name was never added to the deed. The house remained solely mine. That afternoon she called me in a panic. Ryan. Why is the bank saying the refinance is on hold? I acted confused. I have no idea. She sounded irritated. Can you call them? Sure. I'll look into it. I never did. 2 days later she came home carrying flowers. She hadn't bought me flowers in years. I've been thinking, she said. Maybe we should take a vacation together. I almost laughed. For weeks she'd been secretly planning to divorce me. Now she suddenly wanted a romantic getaway. I'd love that, I replied. She smiled. What changed your mind? I realized life is too short. That answer seemed to satisfy her. 3 days later. She was served with divorce papers. I wasn't home when it happened. But my attorney later told me she'd called his office screaming. There has to be some mistake. There isn't. My husband loves me. He did. Then she asked the question we've been waiting for. Why is he divorcing me? My attorney gave the simplest answer possible. Because he knows. She immediately hung up. That evening she stormed into the house. You've been spying on me. I looked at her calmly. No. You've got recordings. I do. Her face went white. You found the cameras. The first day. She actually sat down. You knew. I found every single one. She shook her head in disbelief. Then why didn't you remove them? Because I wanted to know why my wife was secretly recording me. Silence. Then I placed my laptop on the kitchen table. The first video started playing. There she was. Kissing the other man. She closed her eyes. The second clip. I stopped loving him years ago. The third. Once my name is on the title, we'll file for divorce. Then the fourth. The cameras are insurance. She covered her face with her hands. I paused the video. Do you want to keep watching? She whispered. No. For the first time since we'd met. Amanda had absolutely nothing to say. During the divorce proceedings, things got even worse for her. Her boyfriend had no idea she was secretly recording him too. When he learned he'd been filmed for months without his knowledge, he immediately hired his own attorney. He wanted nothing to do with her anymore. According to mutual friends. He ended the relationship before the divorce was even finalized. Amanda had lost both relationships within a month. The judge reviewed the recordings during the property hearings. The videos clearly showed Amanda discussing plans to obtain ownership of the house through deception rather than negotiation. Because the home had been purchased before our marriage and the refinance had been stopped, the court left ownership entirely with me. Her request for spousal support was also denied after the judge concluded she'd acted in bad faith throughout the marriage. Several months later. I was finally packing away the last of Amanda's belongings. At the bottom of a closet, I found an unopened box. Inside were 2 hidden cameras she'd never gotten around to installing. Still sealed. Still in their original packaging. I couldn't help but laugh. She'd planned to put cameras in every corner of my life. Instead, she'd only managed to record the end of her own marriage. A year later, I renovated the house. Fresh paint. New furniture. A completely different office. The only thing I kept was my doorbell camera. Not because I was afraid anymore, but because it reminded me of something important. Trust should never require secret surveillance. And if someone feels the need to watch your every move, the problem usually isn't the person being watched. It's the one holding the camera. Funny how Amanda spent thousands of dollars trying to catch me doing something wrong. In the end, the only person those cameras exposed was her.